Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. My name is Eric. Today's video, we're going to be doing a full-length paint protection film installation on the full hood of this Ford Bronco Sport. We're going to be doing a bulk style install as seen by this big giant sheet of film hanging over the hood. So in this video, there's a number of things that we're going to be working with. We got a couple valleys in the hood where the film is going to have to lay down into. As you can see, we got a bunch of air over here. And we also have really sharp corners right over here that we want to try and wrap with complete coverage. So hope you guys enjoy this video. So I'm just going to lift the paint protection film up. I got it roughly centered where I want it to be. So I'm going to lift it up and I'm just going to spray a bunch of slip solution underneath the film and on the hood. I want to make sure the PPF is gliding properly. I just recently switched over to using the pressurized sprayers, and I don't know why I didn't do this on day number one when I first started installing. These things are a lifesaver. Okay, so we got a ton of slip solution underneath the film. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna get our edges and corners tacked down. First, I'm going to come over here and make sure we're where we need to be here. I actually need to get a bit more slip solution underneath here. There we go. So I'll get this side tacked down, and then we'll go over to the passenger side. So the big thing that I want to do here is I don't really want to tack it to the hood. I don't want to tack over here. I want to tack it to the fender. So I'm just going to pull the film back, spray my hot water tack solution on both the adhesive and on the panel, and just going to take and lay that down, squeegee it, lock that in place. So that's good. Film's moving freely over here, which is what we want. Now I'm going to go over to the passenger side and do the exact same thing. Just making sure nothing is sticking prematurely. We don't want that. That's gonna create a lot of problems for us. So right now what I'm looking for before I lock down this back corner is I'm looking along the back edge of the hood, and I see right over here where the film has started to be bunched up a little bit. You gotta get rid of that. You don't wanna have that, so I'm just gonna lift up. I'm just gonna pull it with a little bit of tension. So that starts to lay down. Now what I can do is I can tack this back corner down as well. There we go, that's good. Now we're gonna work on getting these corners down. Now, if you wanna come to my left side, so I'm going to lift the film up here, and I'm just going to get more slip solution underneath it, just like so. You can never have enough slip solution. Actually, that's a lie. You totally can, but for the sake of this install, you can't. So what I'm going to do is I want to take and I want to pull the film tight so the film lays down flat right around this corner. So I'm going to spray some hot water tack solution on the back side of the adhesive, as well on the headlight and on the fender a little bit. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to pull it, not super hard, just enough that I can get that film to lay down right over there, just like that. I'm going to squeegee that down, and then I'm going to do the same thing over here. It's actually starting to stick nicely right across that edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to lock that down. Now we're going to come over to the driver's side. We're going to do the exact same thing. You're probably wondering, what are we going to do with all this air? We'll take care of that in due time. But for right now, we're just going to worry about getting our four corners tacked down. So same thing, I'm just worrying about this corner right now, this sharp corner. So I'm just going to do a little bit of tension, and very slowly I'm going to lay this down and make sure that that corner is down. There we go, just like that. Now we're going to come over here, and I want to make sure that all the film is laid down flat right across the front edge of the hood. Now, these little bit of fingers over here, I'll deal with those in a little bit, but we actually do have a sticking point right over here. So what I need to do is I need to pop the film up and release that. So I'm just going to get my hand underneath the film over here, lift that up, and lay that down. So that's good. Now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to get a little bit of tack solution over here. I'm going to start to lock the film down along the front. Everything's going to be squeegeed out the back. I have the hood propped open with the hood prop, and it's kind of angled towards the back of the hood. So we're going to get the front down first. I'm going to come along here as well, get that down. That little bit, that'll be easy to deal with. All right, now I'm just going to spray more slip solution on the top of the hood. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to take and cut off a bunch of this excess material. Always being careful, keeping that knife away from the vehicle. I'll go over to the passenger side. Do the same thing. Now comes the fun part. This part will have to be cut out. Okay, now comes the fun part, getting all this air out. So as you can see, I'm just taking the palm of my hands and pushing the air out the back. So I'm actually gonna keep my hand right over here because it wants to pop up right here. As you can see, now I'm gonna come from the front. I'm gonna come along this ridge right over here, squeegee that down, now at the back. The great thing with these super flexible squeegees is that they can mold, or they can contour to this sharp valley right here very, very, very easily. So always making sure I'm overlapping my squeegee strokes. Now you're probably wondering, what do I do when I get to the back over here? What I'm gonna do is I'm just gonna lift this up a little bit, spray a little bit of tack solution in there, hold that tight, push it down, and come up, follow up with the squeegee. There we go. Now this bit over here, just going to squeegee this down, and we're going to come back to the front. We're going to come over here. Everything over here, we're just going to push it into the middle. Actually, no, we'll take it all the way to the back. Now, before we get too carried away, I'm going to take care of the moisture along this ridge. Just going to come back and forth. I'm going to pull everything down and out the side over here. Using just a little bit of tack solution over here, and I'm going to stretch the film out so it lays down flat on that edge. And I'm going to follow up with the squeegee and lock that down. Same thing over here. There we go. Okay, now we're going to worry about getting the middle down. So I'm just going to lift the film up, make sure it's not sticking prematurely there. And I'm going to come along to the front over here, and we're going to push everything into the middle. So I'm going to start by angling my squeegee, coming across this body line, pushing everything up. There we go. Here's where things are going to get a little bit tricky. As you can see, that's a ton of paint protection film that's just not sitting down on the hood. So take the watch off, because I don't want to accidentally scuff up the film. I'm going to lift the film up in the back here like this. I'm just going to run my hand along there. Get that film to lay down. So that's just slip solution that's holding that there. That's what I want. So I'm going to come along with my squeegee, and I'm going to get this side of this ridge down. And I'm going to go all the way to the back. Do that again. Do an extra insurance pass. Now I'm just going to overlap squeegee strokes as I push that out the back. I'm just going to leave the film like that right now. I'm going to go around. I'm going to go around to the passenger side here right now. I'm going to do the same thing. Lift the film up. Follow up with the palm of my hand. Push all that air out. When you're doing a PPF installation, especially like a bulk style hood that's got some complex curves to it, a lot of your problems can be solved if you just understand how to deal with the air and getting the film just to lay down. Now we've got this area down. This is going to be able to get squeegeed out very easily. So I'm just going to overlap squeegee strokes. And I'm just going to push all of this out the back. You can see how this is wanting to pop up right here. I'm just going to come along, squeegee that down one more time. Starting to stick right there. So I'm just going to lift that up. You can hear that release. There we go. I'm going to go take care of that right now before we finish off the rest of this hood. So you can see how the film is starting to build up a little bit over here. This right here, if you're not familiar with paint protection film, you might be thinking you've screwed up. This is actually pretty easy to remedy. All you want to do is just lift the film up, get some tack solution in there. You want to hold the film so it's not laying down on the hood, and just with your squeegee, you're going to saw that finger down in a side-to-side motion. It's going to create a bunch of little fingers, but those little fingers are going to be very easy to manage. So now I have one tiny little finger right there. Just going to hit that with more tack solution. Squeegee that down. There we go. I'll take care of this one here as well too. Now this back edge is down perfectly. There we go. Now we're going to take care of this area over here. But what can happen is that area has been down just with slip solution for quite a while. I'm worried about the slip solution that was in here, that most of it has already started to go drain out the back. All I'm going to do is I'm just going to take the nozzle, spray it in here. We'll get a good amount. There we go, that's what we want. My biggest concern right here is this area. Now, this has been down for a bit. What I am going to do is I'm going to lift this up. You can hear just how much that's been sticking, especially on the top of this ridge. So, just going to lift this up. You can hear how that was sticking. So you want that film to be sticking, not sticking. Ran out of slip solution. I'll have to make do with what I got. You want to make sure that that film is not sticking prematurely. So what I'm going to do right now, same thing I've done on the other side, I'm just going to take the palm of my hand and I'm just going to work this film down. It's going to pop up, and that's fine. But we already know how to deal with that. Come along here one more time. Actually, we'll do it a couple more times just to make sure everything's down. You don't want that to happen, where you accidentally fold the film. Luckily, I didn't have a ton of pressure on it, so it's not going to leave any permanent marks behind. So I'm just going to get this all squeegeed out the back here. Now I'm fully expecting that this is going to lift up just like that, but that's okay. We'll come back and get that a little bit later. Right now I'm just getting tack solution in here. Squeegeeing this down. Actually just getting it down just with my hand. I'm going to hold this down with my finger. Now this is popping. It's a very hard corner to do. So I'm just going to get a bunch of tack solution in there. Now I can get that all down. There we go, that's what we want. Now we'll get this side down over here. So got my squeegee angle downwards to pull all the solution down. Just overlapping squeegee strokes to make sure we're not leaving any moisture behind. What I am going to do is I'm just going to lift this up and get some tack solution underneath here. Got some contamination right over here. I'm just going to pull this back. I'm going to pull this out. And I'm just going to get this all squeegeed down. Okay, now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go and get a rag, and I'm going to dry the whole hood off. I'm going to do one final look over before I go around, trim off all the excess film, and wrap the edges. Okay, so now that we got the hood on, I got a microfiber towel here. I'm just going to dry the whole hood off. And what I'm doing right now is I'm looking for any kind of contamination that may be left behind. Any air bubbles, moisture bubbles that I did not get out. And the reason I'm doing this is if I find something, there's no better time than right now to remove it. The film is starting to, the adhesive is starting to bond itself into place. But if I were to lift the film up right now, it would not be a problem to go underneath the film, get whatever contamination is underneath there, and then remove it. But so far I haven't seen anything. Actually, that is a lie. There's a big one right here. As you can see, I'm making a bit of a bubble here. Since this is, I know it's not in the middle of the hood, but it's close enough to the middle of the hood, and I got one right over there. What I'm going to do right now, I'm going to show you how to deal with moisture in that location without having to pull the film up. So I just got a small diabetics needle. You can get these at your local pharmacy. They're super fine point. What I'm going to do is take the rag, wrap it around my finger. I'm going to create a bubble that's got some pressure, and I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to pop it at a very low angle, and I'm just going to push that moisture out. And there we go. That's out. Now that tiny little pinhole, you're probably wondering what's going to happen with that. Because the PPF is self-healing, that tiny little pinhole, once that gets out underneath the hot sun, that will disappear. Now we're going to do the same thing over here. Just going to try and there we go, gone. What I'm going to do right now is I'm going to wrap the edges right now as well too. I've seen it in the comments section a lot. People asking, how soon do you wrap the edges? Typically what you could do, if you want to come in the next day and it's towards the end of the day that you're doing this install, you could just leave this to dry out, come in the morning, trim off all your excess film, and you'll be able to wrap it no problem. But for the sake of this video, I'm just going to do this right now. What I'm going to do, take my knife, and I'm going to trim off, leave maybe 3/8 of an inch left to wrap. Now you want to be, your hand that's not holding the knife, what you want to be doing is you want to be pulling that down so that when the film is starting to get separated, you're not accidentally going to take and slice into the paint of the area you just protected. Don't ask me how I know. Now this area over here, a little bit difficult because the fender and the hood are so close to each other. What I am going to do is just slow down a little bit and glide that blade between the two panels and out the back just like that. Okay, that's good. Now we'll come across the front. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the passenger side and I'm going to cut all the way back into here. So if you want to go around to that side, so we're going to start right over here. Lift the film up, make sure I can work with it and that it's not stuck. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to start up over here at the back corner and I'm going to work my way all the way around over here. And I'm just going to take and make an insertion between the two panels there very carefully. It's this kind of finishing work that if you rush it and you don't do it properly, you could end up having to break out the polisher and have to polish out scratches, or if you get too deep, you're going to have to get it repainted. Also, don't ask me how I know. There we go. Get rid of that. Now, if you want to come over here, you'll see that the film has started to lift up over here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to get my tack solution and my squeegee. I'm going to lift the film up. Hit that pretty good with some tack solution to make sure whatever slip solution was in there is out. Just like so. Now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my knife. I'm going to come over here and I'm just going to trim off the majority of the excess over here. Might be hard for the camera to properly pick this up, but now we'll go over to the other side. And we're going to pick up right where we left off. There we go. Managed to clean that up a little bit there. Okay, now that's completely done. Now what we're gonna do is we're gonna lift the hood up. And we'll prop it. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to take our hot water tack solution and I'm just going to come over here and I'm going to spray out this edge that I want to wrap. So this is flushing out all the slip solution that's left. Now we're going to come over here to the passenger side. I'm going to do the exact same thing. Because before I started the installation on this, I went around with my isopropyl alcohol and a rag and I scrubbed these edges. I should be able to get this PPF to wrap really nicely. This back edge is extremely hard to flush out all the slip solution, so you kind of have to get underneath the hood. And attempt to get in there and flush everything out. Awesome. Now, one area of concern that I have, and I know you guys will find value in this, is if you want to come over here to this corner, see how this is starting to pop up right over here? If I don't take care of this right now, this is going to become a real problem later on. So what I'm doing is I'm going to give it extra tack solution here, and I'm just going to hit that at an angle with the squeegee. And now we're actually going to start the process of wrapping this edge. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the hardest part done first, and I'm just going to get this corner wrapped. So I'm just going to take my thumb, just going to roll my thumb around, and that film is sticking down perfectly. Now, I want to make sure that my hand is good and wet. I'm just going to take and run my thumb along the edge like this, and go back and forth. And we get that edge wrapped. That's good. Now we'll go along to the front. If you want to go over there and keep the hand wet. Same thing. I'm going to come over here to this round corner, get this down first. That's wrapped. A lot of noise being made right now by my hand doing this. That's fine. Okay, now we're gonna switch hands as we're over here on the passenger side. And same thing we did on the driver's side. We're gonna get this sharp corner down first. So I'm just going back and forth and I'm slowly working that film around the corner. And then we're gonna go back and forth over here. Okay, that's down. We're going to give this some more tack solution over here. And we're going to start at the top and we're going to work our way all the way around. I'm going to spend extra time on this corner just to make sure the film lays down flat behind it. There we go. Okay, now that we've got 3/4 of the edges wrapped, one thing I'm going to work on over here, actually we'll go do it on the driver's side, is rounding out that corner, because that very back corner you can't wrap that because of how sharp it is. So if you want to come around to my right side, you'll see right over here how this PPF is, obviously it's not going to get wrapped. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to stick the blade out just a little bit, and I'm going to take and put the blade right on the corner, and with both hands holding the knife, I'm going to slowly create a bit of a notch. And I'm just going to pull that. There we go. Okay, so now that I've done that, that back corner will be the only exposed paint on all of this hood. What I'm going to do though is I'm just going to take, there we go, separate that. I'll go do that on the, actually you know what, I'll wrap this edge here first before I go over to the passenger side. Actually we got some moisture right here, it needs to be pushed out. There we go. Now we'll go do that on the passenger side. Okay, there we go. Make sure that's all down. It's kind of hard to do this with a camera in your personal space or your personal bubble, but hey, we're making it work. Okay, so you can hear how much pressure I'm putting on this edge as I wrap it. And that's just to make sure that it's going to stay down. Now, I'm going to show you one last thing before we're completely done. To make sure that these sharp corners over here stay down and never pop up, because if you can, I'm not sure if you can pick that up, if you get the camera in behind here, you can see how the film there's these folds. I think the camera might be picking it up a little bit. What I'm gonna do, if you wanna keep the camera right in there, is I'm just gonna take a blowtorch. I'm gonna kiss that with some heat. I'm just gonna press that down with my thumb. Hit it one more time, and that will never pop up. Now we'll go over here to this side and do the same thing. There we go. So that's a nice special trick that I like to do on those really sharp corners where you can get the customer full protection in an area that if you were going to be using a pre-cut pattern, there would definitely be a relief cut there with exposed paint that may over time end up getting chipped if a stone hits it. Highly unlikely it happens, but anytime there's exposed paint, the opportunity to get damaged is definitely there. So all this is just a little blowtorch, a little butane torch. Be very careful if you're going to take my advice and use one of these. You can burn stuff really, really fast. So just give it just a tiny bit of heat if you're going to be using it. So hope you guys enjoyed that video. I've always wanted to do a bulk hood PPF install on one of these Ford Broncos, these sports, just because of this edge over here where it's very sharp and there's a lot of contours and valleys and stuff to work on. So I always said that once I get the chance to get one in my shop, I'll make a video of it. So this is the first one I've ever done. I've never practiced on one before. So I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I hope you guys enjoyed that video. If you did, make sure you leave a like, leave a comment down below with what your thoughts are on the video and whether you have some constructive criticism or any other suggestions what you would like to see in future videos. And make sure you subscribe to the channel and stay tuned for more PPF content. Now before you go, I just want to let you guys know, us at Drive Protected, we just launched our own car care line. So if you head over to driveprotected.shop, I'll have the link in the description of this video. You can check out our new amped all-purpose cleaner, megawatt foam soap, and our recharge ceramic detailing spray. Make sure you use code PROTECTED and you will save 20% on your order. Thanks again.